kettlebell front squats. So first of all, before we get into the full-blown version of a double kettlebell front squat, I'm going to show you an alternate. So a lot of people may only have one kettlebell or one dumbbell. You can also just use a backpack on your back for weight. But what that would be is a goblet squat. And goblet squat, nice and simple. I've got a full tutorial elsewhere, but should sit nicely in that rack position, reasonably vertical, forearms in that plane, slightly pointed in from here, but think about tucking the elbows in underneath that kettlebell just to support it nicely so that your arms aren't the fatiguing point. You really want to make it so that the legs become the fatigue point. If you're struggling with your grip to hold it the whole time, then your arms are going to get fatigued well before your legs. Now the double kettlebell front squat is a far better way to train the legs as well as the core. Really works your core hard. Probably won't appreciate that until you give it a go with two reasonably heavy kettlebells. But it just allows you to add a lot more load to your legs. Other options here would be using a barbell. So barbell back squat, front squat, you can add even more load than you can with the kettlebells. But I find kettlebell front squats are more than enough to build adequate strength in your body to go and snowboard and surf and hike and do most of the things that most people want to be able to do. Can you add more load, build more strength, build more hypertrophy, well, build more strength at least with heavier weights? Yes. But do you need to? It depends on your preferences and your goals. So I'm going to go through these ones. There will be times when I add in the barbell versions in the primary program, but they're always there as an alternative. If you really want to do that, go for it. That's great. Now, kettlebell front squats, I've got a detailed tutorial on these in my beginner kettlebell program. So please, 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 if you're not confident with these and cleaning the kettlebells up, go and do that program first because it's very comprehensive and will teach you the basics of all of these skills so that you can be confident and hopefully enjoy them too, like me. Because to get the kettlebells up, to do the front squats, you need a good kettlebell clean because I can't lift up to 24, 28 kilo kettlebells into that front rack position with my biceps. They're just not that strong and swole. So I'm going to clean them up using my hip muscles, which are far stronger than my biceps. So starting out, we're going to hike the back and drive up into that front rack position. This is really fundamentally important that you get a good front rack position because that way you can hold the bells whilst you perform the squat. Now I like to brace here, so big of a breath in and brace. Inhale, exhale. Now that brace, think about having your hands on your waist, not your hips, on your waist. And you're going to expand out. So you're going to inhale, expand out a little bit, and then bear down a little bit to maintain that position like you are bracing for a punch. That is a brace. That's going to increase your intra-abdominal pressure and help to stabilize. It's something our bodies reflexively tend to do when the weights get heavier. Often people go and lift a heavy weight and they hold their breath and people go, oh, you shouldn't hold your breath. That's garbage. It's actually really helpful to stabilize to lift heavier weights. Basically what you're going to do is keep this reasonably still while the big muscles do the work that you want them to do. So to show you I'm just rambling a bit in this video, aren't I? Yeah, I'm talking to myself. So what you're going to do from side on is position yourself behind those bells, hike the bells back, drive up into that front rack position. Then you may want to adjust your stance before you perform a nice deep squat and drive back up. And they are a challenging exercise. I describe it more like having a wrestle with the kettlebells because those kettlebells are trying to pull away from you the whole time. You're trying to hold them in and do the squats. They're quite fatiguing. Bear in mind, depending on the weights of your kettlebells, they may be a bit too light or they may be lighter, so therefore you might want to do more reps. If they're heavy, do less. The key thing is get to your designated RPE or reps in reserve. Something like an 8 often is prescribed, so that means go until you feel like you've got 2 reps left in the tank, and they will be a fantastic exercise. Remember, you do have other squat variations to sub in if you don't have the equipment or the technical know-how to perform those.